Every growing system faces the same problem. It starts clean, well organized, easy to change. Then teams grow, features multiply, and slowly that clean system becomes a tangled mess where one small change breaks five unrelated things. The obvious solution is to organize the code in a better way. But how do we do that? Most teams either stay with the messy single system or jump straight to complex distributed architecture. But there is a powerful middle ground that solves these kind of problems. It is nothing but the modular monolithic architecture style. I remember layered architecture. The layered architecture has presentation, business, persistence, and database. Presentation, business, this is data access, and database. The layered architecture we have already covered in one of the previous session. Please take a look. Okay, coming back to the topic. Now, this provides the clean layers and top to bottom approach that every layer talks to the layer below it. Right? There is no direct communication between different layers. So it provides a clean, organized architectural style. But here is what actually happens in large team over time. The layers are shared across entire application. Right? These layers are shared across entire application. The business layer contains logic for orders, payments, users, inventory. Right? Example. So all of them are mixed together in a single layer. Again, the persistence layer has database access, right? The data access layer is also called as persistence layer, right? Okay. So this layer is responsible for database calls of all these applications, right? It is also takes the database calls for order, payments, user, inventory, all in the same place. All of them are going through the same flow, right? Example, Team A working on orders has to navigate through code written by Team B for payments just to make a simple change, right? One change in the shared persistence layer breaks something unexpected in a completely unrelated feature, right? Because this is shared by all the other three, right? Payments, user, and inventory. One change in order can shake this layer. This might break other things of unrelated applications, right? Um, this is like something familiar, right? We have seen all this in real enterprise applications. It looks like layered architecture on diagram, but it behaves like a big ball of mud in practice because touching one thing will break everything. If there is a change in business logic of one application, there is a change affected to everything. To understand what is big ball of mud, please check the earlier session where this topic is also covered. Right? So eventually, it produces a tangled mess, hard to change kind of system, just with horizontal lines drawn through it. Right? Now, um, let us understand how the modular monolithic architecture solve this problem. In modular monolithic architecture, this architecture keeps everything in one deployable unit. That is the first characteristic of this architecture style, just like layered architecture, right? One code base, one deployment unit, one running process. But instead of organizing by horizontal layers, this architecture style organizes by business domains called modules, right? Now, modules, right? Each module owns its domain completely. It has its own code, its own data, its own interfaces. Maybe this is orders, this is payment, this is inventory, and this is users, right? Every module has its own code and it has its own data. It has its own interface. Again, when compared to layered architecture, one single application, the functionality is divided by the technical aspects, right? One layer will handle presentation, another will handle business, right? Now here, the single module will have everything related to that. It has the interface, it has the data, it has the code, everything tied together in a single module. And here, the architecture is divided by the domain. Domain, right? Now, they don't share databases, right? It has its own data. They don't reach to each other's code directly because it has its business logic implemented within that module, right? They communicate only through well-defined public interfaces. There is no direct communication between orders and payments. Everything with belonging to orders reside inside the order module. If at all, if it has to communicate with payment, that has to be through well-defined interfaces, APIs, right? Cannot directly have access to its code, data, or interface. Right? Just think of it like layered architecture is a building where every floor shares one open space, whereas modular monolithic is building where each floor has its own locked office. Everything is locked within here. You can visit another floor, but only through proper door, never by cutting through walls. That is APIs. Now, a team A works on orders. Team B works on payments. They never step on each other's because the boundaries are enforced. Now, whatever is updated by team A will reside inside order, by team B will reside inside payment, right? Now, layered architecture, it is organized by technical concerns, as already mentioned. All business logic in one layer, all database calls in one layer. Teams share everything. Changes can ripple unexpectedly. Modular monolithic, this is organized by business domains. Each domain owns its full stack, its logic, its data, its interface. Teams are independent. Changes stay contained within that particular model. But both are single deployable units. Both are monolithics, right? But eventually, the layered architecture drifts towards big ball of mud as it grows. The other maintains clean boundaries and actually gets easier to work with scale because in future, if we have to add one more module, that is transactions. Now, all these four models don't even have to be touched. Again, this is going to have its own code, own data, and own interface. If transactions has to communicate with payments, it is going to have a proper API, public API. So it is always better to use modular monolithic where you expect that system might go beyond the simple layered architecture. Again, as we mention every time, in architecture, everything is trade-off. Everything comes with pros and cons. But compared to layered architecture, modular monolithic can handle complex applications. It provides maintainability, it provides independence of modules, it provides proper API interfaces between models so that they do not collide with each other, and it is easy to scale, easy to add new functionalities. So when it comes to complex enterprise applications, modular monolithic has a higher edge. This session is part of software architecture series. There are more topics covered on software architecture. Please check the series. Thank you for your valuable time.